welcome to 2 Minutes to Life. This is episode 4. Dude, it feels like I'm already forgetting, but all right, 99%. Um, I guess this last week I did have something interesting happen. Um, so I haven't been taking my vitamins as religiously as I used to. I'm taking like the basic ones, like zinc, biotin, fish oil. What else do I got up there? And ashwagandha. Those I take like religiously every single day. But as for multivitamins, I haven't been taking because uh, there's this one that I really like, and it's got everything that I need in it. And it typically comes in like pouches of like all the different vitamins. There's like 10 or 11 vitamins inside there, and they're loaded with everything that I need. And I decided to switch things up a little while ago. I was like, yeah, like they've got it in like drink form, like a powder where I could just mix it with a drink and like drink it. And I don't know what possessed me, but when I was ordering it, I like clicked on add to cart 3 times and I ordered 3 of them. And it's this like apple flavor. And I thought like, yeah, man, I'll get used to like apple flavor or whatever. Try something new or whatever. And so I bought this. And this arrived months ago. And I've probably had 2 servings of this, and it tastes disgusting. It is the worst vitamin drink I've ever had in my life. So I've been trying to drink it this last week, and I haven't as much. I've gotten like 2 drinks in the last 6 days. So I feel it. I definitely feel it. I feel better when I have it in my system, but it's disgusting and it tastes like vomit, like apple vomit. So
That's how you know it's good.
that is how you know it is good. That's how you know it's super healthy. It's like when I used to have that protein, that plant protein that I had. I always had this challenge. Anybody that could drink this protein, if you could drink this protein and work out and not projectile vomit, you win. And I didn't have a single friend that could drink that plant-based protein and not vomit. Every single one of my friends, without fail, who tried it, projectile vomited, and it was beautiful. Orcas did it, Eric did it, Zach did it, I did it, my dad did it. Everybody does it the first time they try it. I won't say the name, but if
Plant-based
anybody
protein
wants,
is pretty special.
yeah,
I've
plant-based
tried,
proteins can be rough sometimes. They can be brutal. Um,
but I know my multivitamins I take. They're not made to taste good. They're
yeah,
made just to get you those vitamins, I guess, as quickly as
hmm
possible or the best way possible, and they're not going to pack any flavor in there. So it's
yeah.
pretty interesting experience when you taste those.
When you chew on. I remember in high school when we would get tired. I don't know if you did this with me and Jackson, but we used to pop vitamin C like pills that weren't chewables, and we would chew on them, and they were disgusting. They were like incredibly sour, and it would like wake us up. But we used to do that for like an energy rush for whatever reason. And I'm pretty sure it like also dissolved like a piece of our tongue, but whatever. It
Yeah,
was
there's a
nasty.
reason that you did that when I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have done that. That's nasty, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty stupid. I do notice that my zinc not capsules, tablets, I guess, they taste, they have like almost a chocolate-esque flavor to them, I've noticed. If you take zinc, just straight up zinc, it almost tastes like chocolate, weirdly enough. Don't chew it. Don't chew it. It doesn't taste like chocolate if you chew it. It's just like when you're trying to like, you take it, you're like, all right, I'm gonna swallow. Oh, it kind of tastes like chocolate.
I'm gonna have to get some zinc and try that.
Dude, I swear by it. It's weird, but I mean, whatever. I've been taking zinc for 9 years now. Wait, how old are we? 27. So no, 8 years now. 8 years I've been taking zinc consistently. You were saying something earlier about maxing you're trying to max your testosterone naturally.
Yes.
What are all the things that you're doing so far that like you're utilizing to try to maximize it?
Yeah, so I've been taking a wonderful experience, a trip down testosterone lane, uh, basically doing a bunch of research on things that lower testosterone, things that elevate testosterone, and diving into studies, uh, and even not necessarily studies, but even hypotheses. I've been giving value to those because there hasn't been any studies yet. Um, but there have been things that I'm eliminating out of my diet because I'm trying to maximize my testosterone naturally. I want to be able to see how much way it actually plays afterwards. I want to get my testosterone tested. So I've been, uh, let's see, I'm going to go down the
What,
list.
let's start with
Um,
what you're eliminating. What are you eliminating so far?
so processed foods is kind of number one.
Mhm.
Whether that's fast food or even store bought processed food, and that's probably the hardest one as well because almost all food is processed. You know what's not processed is that fresh section in the grocery aisle. You know, just the fresh
That
fruits and
part.
vegetables. So I've been basically sticking with the paleo diet for the most part. Just meat, fruits, and vegetables, and so that's the number one thing. Secondly, sugar there yeah, there is studies on processed food, there is studies on sugar. Both of them lower testosterone quite a bit, and so those are two major ones. um I'm blanking.
What about like dairy and stuff?
Dairy's another one.
Cutting
So I've
out
been
dairy.
dairy. I've looked into studies on that. There's actually estrogen left in the milk from the cows that carries over into the milk, and that
Mhm.
that does detriments on your testosterone. So
Yeah, that
dairy lowers it. Um, there's some evidence of mint lowering it. Um, Nuts. I dove into nuts because I love nuts. Nuts used to be my
Mhm.
everyday snack, and so I dove into those studies to see actually what. And you can't. It's interesting because you can't just look up nuts, and you can't just try to look at studies on nuts. You
Yeah,
have to look at the components in the nuts to actually
yeah.
find the studies. And so there's different things in the nuts. And I actually wrote down a few of them. Um, Phytosterol. Uh, it decreases the cholesterol, which is good for your testosterone. SHBG, it which is basically fiber components that neutralizes your testosterone. The PUFA, which is a type of fat, I believe. And so all those things are contained in nuts. And so the thing with nuts is nuts are actually good for you. They're good for you.
Mhm.
But looking at overall testosterone, nuts decrease testosterone. And so nuts have tons of benefits for you. But if your main goal is testosterone, nuts are not for you. So I've been eliminating nuts out of my diet. Um, all these little things. I mean, I think the list goes on and on. I mean, I could have wrote it all down, but all these little things I've been eliminating and trying to see if I can actually get my testosterone decently higher. Like even if it's less than a percentage, maybe. Let's say
Mhm.
nuts just lowers it, maybe less than a percentage. It adds up, and
Yeah.
so I've been trying it out and seeing if I could do it. And then on the other side, things I'm taking. I mean, I've been taking ashwagandha. Um, And now I just started fenugreek this week,
Mhm. How's that
which
going?
has been an experience. So I got the packet and I open it up and it's just like brownish powder, and you take a big old whiff and it's just a strong. It's almost like a curry type smell, strong just spice. And
You didn't do
so
capsules?
no, I got the powder. I wanted to get the powder. I wanted to mix it in my protein shakes because I have this secret combination mix that I make with all my protein shakes. But because it's like a curry flavor, you can imagine how that's gonna affect your taste on your protein shakes. So I got these. I'm trying a chocolate mint protein right now. So it
Uh-huh.
now has a curry kind of flavor to it. It's kind of a kick.
That
But
sounds brutal.
I've been enjoying it though. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel I mean, when you first try it, you're just like, oh yeah. Like I remember first trying just potassium, just a little bit of supplement of potassium to try to boost my potassium intake a little bit. And when you first try, you're like, oh yeah. But
Hmm.
fenugreek, I do feel a little bit different. I mean, I've only been taking it for just a few days now, but
Hmm.
I feel pretty good. I feel really motivated. I feel really just ambitious. I don't know if that has the side effect of it, but like I want to get things done.
Yeah,
So
you'll notice that when you start things that increase testosterone, you'll feel more ambitious. That's just a side effect of anything that you do. Take zinc, fenugreek, ashwagandha, you'll be like, I feel better. That's just a result of testosterone in general when it hits your system. So that makes
yeah.
sense.
So I guess I'll definitely see over more of a long term and definitely more of an accurate, measurement when I actually test my blood and testosterone content in it. But for now, I'm just seeing how I feel and trying all these little different things, and I'm going from there. It's been a fun trip, but I've just started, so we got a lot
Yeah,
to go.
yeah. I'm excited for when we do our tests, just because like just to see what androgens are actually in our blood, to see like where we're sitting at. Because for years I've been trying to maximize my natural testosterone levels for years and years and years. Because I recognized at like 12 to 14 years old, I was like, I got shit testosterone levels. Like I looked at everybody around me and I was like, my testosterone's off. Everybody else is developing muscles properly. Like I am behind. Something's not right. Then I got into epigenetics, just studying epigenetics, and I was like, okay, so certain things will change biomarkers. They will change your genes. Certain foods that you consume will change your genetic expression. And I was like, that's interesting. And it just comes down to basic things. Like my bones were always breaking. You remember this. As a kid, I was always breaking my arms. Always. And it wasn't just because I was a little reckless. It was just like I was brittle. And I was like, all right, I need more calcium. And in calcium, I needed to take more vitamin D. So my vitamin D could deliver that calcium to my bones. And I was like, okay, I'm deficient in these two things. What else am I deficient in? And I started looking at my like just genealogy of like my family. I'm like, all right, who sucks? Like, look at my grandparents. Like, what are they missing? What are they lacking in? Because that could have been passed down genetically. And if I can attack those things at a young age, I could maximize my genetic expression. Um, Testosterone has been something I've been focusing on since I was 14. Just like, how do I naturally boost it? And so I've been attacking it for a long time, and I haven't been attacking it as much these last couple of weeks just because I've been focused on all these other things. So I do feel those effects, though, of not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. Um, Also, I've like increased my carb intake because I'm trying to put weight back on. And if you're not taking your vitamins and you're increasing your carbs, you'll feel slow. You'll feel really slow. So I'm excited to see where you land yourself at, especially the fenugreek. Fenugreek. It's a funny word. And the fact that you're taking it in powder form is crazy. Just straight powder. I've never heard of anybody doing that. So you got balls for doing that, dude. That's
I,
crazy.
I like powder. I feel like it's more. I don't know. I don't like pills at all. So I like powder, and just the idea of just mixing it in drinks and drinking it throughout the day. It fits better with me. I don't know.
What would happen if you turned it into a tea and bonded it with some honey?
I don't know.
It would probably hit your system really fast and really hard. I don't know. Think about it sometime. Maybe give that a
maybe I'll
shot.
maybe I'll experiment.
Yeah, try some little fenugreek experiments, see what happens. I've thought about that with ashwagandha. I've never tested it though. Doing like an ashwagandha tea.
Hmm.
That might actually be bomb. You'd have to like mix it with something like lemon or ginger, just so you could kind of drown out that like herbal taste. 'Cause ashwagandha by itself is not delicious. Delicious when it hits the system. It's not delicious when you taste it. It's another thing about those supplements. A lot of them taste like shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to know what the ashwagandha, because how I'm taking ashwagandha right now is in a protein bar that I take. It has ashwagandha in it. I'd like to get the powder form of that and taste it, cause see what it's like.
Happened in a bar form. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that people did that. That is interesting. How much is in the bar? Do you know?
300 milligrams.
300 milligrams? That's pretty good. Yeah, you're taking a lot less than I am. I'm taking like 600 milligrams a day. The recommended dosage on the bottle that I take is 1200 milligrams, and I'm like, I don't need that much.
Ooh.
So I take half. I just take one. It's like, oh, two capsules. I'm like, nah, I'll just take one. That's enough for me. But honestly, I should try it. Try an ashwagandha tea. I'll try an ashwagandha tea if you do a fenugreek tea.
I don't do tea, so I don't know how to make tea.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just hot water, bro. Hot water, honey, and then just
That's
throw
it.
in your
Just
powder.
three.
What? Yeah, that's it. Just hot water, honey, and then your thing, and then you can filter it through like a coffee filter, just so you don't have a bunch of like powder or crap in it. A coffee filter, or what else? Cheesecloth? Nah, cheesecloth is too porous. You probably have to get a coffee filter. Steal a coffee filter from work. Take one of those, and then if you guys have them there, you should have them somewhere at your work. And then make a fenugreek tea. Throw some ginger or something in it. Did I tell you about ginger? That ginger increases testosterone?
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
Yeah, yeah, dude, it's like 17.7%. If this is just through my own research, I found out that ginger increases testosterone. If eaten consistently for 30 days, should increase your testosterone, apparently, by 17.7%. I eat ginger every night, like every single night, just because they have the chews here, just like just dried ginger. Um, a lot of people around me think they're disgusting. They're like, "How do you eat those things?" I'm like, I just love them. I think they're really good. Um, they are pretty strong. I get that, but I eat them every single day, and I had no clue that they increase testosterone. So now I'm just eating more of them. I'm like, yeah, and I just go to Costco because that's where you can get them. But yeah, let's do a tea. Let's do a tea this week. See what happens.
All right.
So has it been a week on fenugreek total?
I came later than expected, so I've been on it maybe 3 days now, so not too long. But according to studies, you should be experience effects pretty quickly though. So
Yeah. You've been acting like you've been on fenugreek for 3 days, just the way you've been texting me. You're like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's work on this, let's work on this. And I'm like, shit, man, okay, okay. I'll get to work, I'll get to work.
yeah, all I
And
want
I
to do
feel
is
like
grind.
I'm
So I don't know
Yeah.
if testosterone does that, but I just want to grind all the time. Really.
It definitely does that. So people who are anybody who tries, this is just to my own experience. Anytime that I've attacked my testosterone from a natural point and I've shifted something in my diet, whether I've pulled something out or I'm adding something in to increase my testosterone, I do notice a natural increase in my drive. And that's just, I know that's a result of a higher testosterone level. According to any study you look at testosterone, testosterone's a massive motivator in men. Like without it, you have no desire to get laid, you have no desire to work, you have no ambition. Like you need testosterone to perform. You don't. I mean, that's not to say that you can't perform without it. I'm just saying that like for optimal performance in men, the studies are there, the correlation is there. Higher testosterone results in a higher performance. Like when it comes to getting girls, when it comes to work, when it comes to building a business, like it's shown time and time again that a leading factor in men who are highly ambitious have higher testosterone levels. So, not surprised at that. You're going hard this week. You've been going really freaking hard.
I mean, not only is it just like a personal journey and challenge for me just to increase my testosterone, but it's kind of like a personal study I'm putting myself through. It's because you look at testosterone levels in men throughout the years, and it's just been declining rapidly. And one of the questions I guess we're all asking ourselves is, why is it doing that? And so I'm kind of testing the theory: is it what we're eating? And seeing how much, if I can eliminate everything that lowers testosterone through what we're eating, and maximizing it that way, and seeing if I can get it to levels of how they had it back in the day. I mean, there's our answer.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a personal experience and journey of just trying that. And not only have I been hitting testosterone hard, but just, nutrition in general. I mean, if you look at the nutrients that everyone should be getting daily, I mean, you could go to several websites. I mean, probably the FDA, CDC, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. They all have a list of like what the average person should be taking in nutrition when it comes to vitamins and minerals and micronutrients. And one thing that I found interesting to do, I think everyone should do, is you look at that list and you look at the amounts you should have, and then look at your diet, and then what are you getting through your diet? Okay, and now where are you lacking, right? Do you need to change your diet? Do you need to change your supplements? Do you need to be getting some vitamins and some supplements to make up for the things that you're not getting? I think everyone should take that journey and look at their lives and like, how can I be more, uh, get more nutrition? Because I mean, I believe nutrition also will boost testosterone extremely. You know, if you have a healthier
Mhm.
life, your body's going to be producing its natural hormones and chemicals that it should be doing. So that's also been a fun journey. That, and it's complicated though. Like looking at, you know, the huge list of what you should be getting in a day at nutrients. It's it's hard because you got to look at each one individually and like, okay, is this in any of the foods I'm eating today? Okay, if it's not, then do I need to change my diet or do I need supplementation? And it's just been fun, and it's an extensive journey, but it's been really eye opening to look at your nutrition and how can you better your nutrition, live a healthier life, and have better outcomes with your life. So
Mhm. I mean, it's you do have to do a lot of self-analysis. And that's something that like anybody who looks at those amounts and then looks at what they're eating, if you actually look at what you're eating and you're like, all right, this has 1 milligram of zinc in it. How much do I need a day? Oh, shit. I need quite a bit more. Am I eating that much of this thing? No. And then you look at the other things and you're like, okay, am I getting any more zinc? I'm not getting any more zinc. And I'm supposed to be getting X amount every single day. Shoot, where am I going to get that? And this is something that like I wish we were all taught in like middle school, elementary school, and we weren't. Like they off the top of your head, nobody who's watching this can tell you how much calcium they need in a day. Nobody's watching this knows exactly how much vitamin D they need in a day. It's very few people know what they actually need. It's like one out of maybe 100, maybe one out of 1,000 actually know what they need. And when you look at that list and you go, oh, that's how much I need of this, and vitamin D, vitamin C, calcium, like you go down that list, magnesium, like you go through everything. You're like, and then you look at the things you eat, you're like, I'm not getting any of that. And these are things you're supposed to be getting in every single day, not once a week, not once a month. This is every day what you should be consuming every single day. This is recommended intake every day. And you're like, if I'm not getting that every day, then I should be expecting to be performing optimally. And if I want to see that optimal performance, then maybe I should start attacking this either supplement wise or dietary. Like maybe I should make those shifts. Obviously, we always have to preface by saying consult your primary physician before starting any supplementation or any training program. But anybody who's watching this, if you feel like your life isn't at its optimal place, like I'm a victim of it literally all the time. Yesterday, I didn't get all my vitamins and nutrients in, and the next day, you'll suffer the results of that. I feel slower. I feel less. I don't feel like I'm performing at my optimal state. And that's because I'm not getting the things that I'm supposed to be getting in. And it is difficult and it is daunting at first. It's when you look at it, even now, 13 years of training and nutrition. I've been on top of my nutrition for as best as I can for the last 9 years. And I still struggle with it. To this day, I still am like, crap, I need to be making sure I get my vitamin D in. Because I'm not, like, some days I don't spend 15 to 20 minutes out in the sun. I'm working all day. And it's like, crap, I didn't get any vitamin D in today. My brain isn't producing serotonin. I didn't get any melanin in my skin, so my body's not going to produce any natural melatonin for me to sleep tonight. It's going to be difficult for me to fall asleep. People don't know these things. A lot of people don't know that when they go outside, their eyes are what is producing the serotonin, and the sun hitting their skin is producing the melanin in their skin, and when their body combines those two things, they're getting the melatonin that they need to pass out. It's like you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And when you start attacking these things, either from a supplementation standpoint or a dietary standpoint, you'll see the differences in your day. You'll see the like genetic output, the just genetic expression, everything that your body is doing. Go back to a previous episode when I say listen to your body. A lot of people took that the wrong way. They're like, oh, I should just eat what I want. And it's like, no, like you eat something and listen to what happens afterwards. Like feel what happens afterwards. Because you had told me that nuts were a detriment to testosterone. And I was like, really? And a lot of the ways I analyze what food does to me is I will eat it. I don't listen to the dopamine response immediately because we always get a dopamine response no matter what we eat. Really, you'll have a dopamine response when you consume anything. You're going to have a dopamine response. I like to feel out what happens the hours afterwards, the day afterwards, and a lot of the things you eat, especially now, like you said, processed foods. But we were talking about nuts. I was like, let's try this. And so there was a point in time where I was eating almonds every day. So I tried a handful of almonds. I was like, let's try a handful of almonds and see how I feel a couple hours later. Because typically you can feel it. Like, do I feel energized or do I feel like shit? And sure enough, I felt slower. After a handful of almonds, a couple hours later, I felt slower. I felt a little demotivated. I didn't feel as optimal. And I was like, that's interesting. That's an interesting feeling. And I'd always defended almonds. I was always like, yeah, almonds are great for testosterone. And then you'd sent me a couple of those articles, and I was like, interesting. Maybe they're not. And so now, this last week, I decided that I would stop taking almonds just to try it out, just to see what would happen. And taking the almonds out of my diet, I need to replace them. I need to replace that protein because I would get a good amount of omegas and protein from those almonds. And so now I'm having to figure out other ways to get those protein and those omegas. But something I have noticed is with the almonds, when I would take almonds, I would get sleepy. I would get like tired after I would consume almonds. And I didn't know why before. I was always like, why do I feel sleepy after eating almonds? Why do I feel like sluggish and tired? But now that I don't have that in my day, those like segments of wanting to pass out, not pass out, but take a rest minute aren't really there. But yeah, like you said, like even if it's just a percentage less, like maybe it's worth it to kick those things. Like spearmint, apparently that drops testosterone. I was looking at an article that because you had sent me one about a bunch of different herbs that decrease or increase testosterone. So I started looking at the other things like spearmint, and turns out mint is a detriment to testosterone, according to a lot of studies, like a lot. And I was really surprised. And so I'm like, all right, I can kick my gum habit now. Like, no more chewing gum, which is hard for some people. They're like, wait, gum? It's going to damage my testosterone? Which that's actually not too surprising with aspartame and all the other things that are in chewing gum. But it is interesting. It's kind of crazy, especially when you start attacking supplementation. Because it's real. We don't get a lot of the stuff that we need in the foods that we are eating. So when you attack that list and you look at it, it's going to be daunting. It's going to be, oh crap, like there's a lot here that I am not getting.
I think one important thing to look at is I think it's overwhelming, especially for someone who doesn't know a lot about nutrition. I mean, as is anything you want to tackle in life. I mean, fitness, nutrition. I could go on and on about anything, and it could seem overwhelming and daunting. But just like setting goals for anything in life, I think little by little, you got to evaluate, what do I want? What is my biggest goal out of this? And obviously testosterone is one of mine, and so I'm optimizing that primarily. And then I could go down the list. So like when I started my journey of nutrition, you could say I started with protein, right? I wanted to increase my muscle mass, increase my strength. And so after the research I did, protein was, the number one solution for that. So I started with protein, right? And then I got into creatine, and then I got into sodium, and then potassium, and now I'm just starting to go down the list. So you just got to evaluate, and do some research. What is the number one thing you want? Do you want to increase your strength? Do you want to increase your muscle size? Do you want to increase your sleep? And then do some research based on that. Like, what can I do nutrition-wise? What's going to help this? because all nutritions have their benefits. And so, based on your goals and desires, you can start to go down the list, and it doesn't have to be so overwhelming after you do that. Is you got to take it just one by one nutrition
Mhm.
at a time. And once you've, and just like, goals in life, just once you've mastered that, once you're already taking it, once it has to become a part of your lifestyle, and you're getting what you need from that, then you can move on to the next one. And it's just
Mhm.
tackling little by little, and then soon you got an amazing diet, you got amazing health benefits, and your life just is way so much better in general, just because you're tackling little by little. And
Mhm.
I just think it's important because, especially me looking at it, when I first looked at the all the nutrients you should be getting in the day and the list of just tons of nutrients, it's overwhelming. You're like, man. And then I went down that list looking at what I actually need to improve. It was a lot. It was like I need a lot more nutrients in my daily diet, and it's just like overwhelming. It's like, how am I gonna? But just doing it one by one, it helps so much to eliminate the stress and the overwhelmingness of that. So
One thing, I had a pretty good fitness mentor before I moved to Hawaii. And I'd lived with him for a bit, and something that I always saw him say to people was just start a multivitamin. Just start taking any multivitamin. And I thought that was interesting. I'm like, no, you should pick the best one out there. There's this one and there's this one and there's this one, and they're like really, really good. And people are like, oh, which one should I do? And my roommate at the time was like, no, dude, just start a multivitamin. Just start any of them. It doesn't matter. Just pick, if you're a man, I'm a man, just pick a men's multivitamin. Just start taking it. And he's like, it will give you a lot of the things that you're already missing in your day. And he's like, and if you want to tackle anything further than that, then tackle it. But start with just a basic men's multivitamin. And I couldn't agree with that more. Like, it is cool to get like really, really deep into like making sure you're optimizing everything, your folic acid, your biotin, your zinc, whatever. But if you want to start base level, just go to the store. I won't say which store because we got in trouble for that one. Go to the store, your local pharmacy, your local grocer, pick a multivitamin that you think is good. There's a lot out there. Just pick one that is close to what you want to accomplish or even just base level. I know they've got men's and then they've got, senior ones that you can take and start with just a recommended dosage and start there. That's all you've got to do. Just take that every single day. Obviously, consult your physician or your primary doctor before starting any supplementation. But if you want to start somewhere, that's the easiest place to go. Is just pick a simple multivitamin off the shelf and just start taking it every day. You will notice dramatic effects. After, I'd say 30 days at least of taking a multivitamin, you'll start seeing those differences in your sleep quality and endurance, output, just what you can put out in the day, your attention span. A lot of things will just start improving. And if you want to improve beyond that, look at your multivitamins. At the back of it, it'll tell you the percentage of what's in it and that you need in the day. It'll say 100%. It'll say 1,000% of whatever it is. And if it's missing certain things, copper, selenium, other things, find out how much you need in the day. Say it's only giving you 15% of that specific nutrient. Find out how much you actually need in the day. Find out if it's in any of the foods you eat, broccoli, pizza, whatever it is that you're eating. And if you don't get it, find out how you can better supplement those things. Because once we start getting to that 100%, that's when we start feeling 100% in our day. And that's just something that we all need to be a little more vigilant on. And it sucks having to tackle it ourselves because nobody taught us. Like, we weren't taught these things in school, unfortunately. Some people were lucky enough, but very, very rare. Have I ever met anybody that was given all of the nutrients that they needed in schooling, that especially when it comes to recommended daily intake. And even those people that were given that information, very, very few of them actually listen and implement it. But it is incredibly rewarding when you do. When you do tackle your nutrients and you do tackle your trace minerals and you do tackle your protein and your creatine intake, it is incredibly rewarding. I mean, 13 years of me doing this, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, the best decision I ever did was start tackling my health, start tackling the nutrients I'm taking in the day. best thing I could ever do. I'm feeling like crap. I'm not getting the sleep. I'm not getting the better output in my life. It probably comes down to my nutrients. It comes down to my input that's affecting my output. I'm religious about that input output thing.
Yeah. Well, I think just like how we were talking about earlier about how over the years the testosterone has declined. I think over the years a lot of things have declined. And if you look at what has inclined, it's the comfort of living. It's the average person is becoming less engaged and less active in their life and the choices that they get to make, the actual choices. For example, we're eating what we are fed. We're eating what's already packaged and made for us at the store. We're doing we're taking in the information that's given to us. We download a social media app and whatever it feeds to us, we're taking that in, we're consuming that. And so I think when you look at nutrition, it's an act of taking control of your life. It's an act of getting in the driver's seat of your own life, which is it's hard nowadays. Everything is fed for you. That life is made nowadays for you to sit in the passenger seat until you die, just right to the end, right there. But I think in every aspect of life, and nutrition is extremely important. Fitness is extremely important. These are things that you should be engaged in. You should be looking at as like, okay, how does this work? What do I need? Is what I'm being fed good for me? Is what's being made for me good for me? And then essentially creating your own. I like the idea of. I mean, you call it input output. I like the idea of, what's the words? Consumption and creation. Like you either consume or create. And I've been thinking about this week, which is an interesting idea, is relating the input output or consuming and creation to the law of attraction, and how you're always, if you choose what you consume, your creation is going to be way better. But if you're fed stuff and you consume it, you're not going to have creation, and if you do, it's not going to be good. And so being active in your life, choosing what you consume is going to change how you create, and you're going to create amazing things. If you have great input, you're going to have great output. So it's just that idea of always looking towards where you want to go, being in control of your life, using the law of attraction and seeking to where you want to go, and there's points where things will come to you. But what I found in life is a lot of things that come to you aren't usually good for you. The things you go towards are the things that are really good for you. And so you got to be seeking things. You got to be consuming what you want to consume. That way you have the creation that you want to create. And so that's an interesting idea that I think I've been thinking of a lot this week, is being engaged in your life has much, much, much better outcomes. Because if you just sit back and take what you get, you're going to have a overall bad life. You're going to have not what you want. And one of my biggest fears, what would be the output of that, is you're going to be sitting on your deathbed with regret. And no one wants that. So take control of your life,
I love that. And it kind of goes back to this quote that I keep saying. I have it written on this pink slip in my driver's seat. It's just something that I came up with. And the quote goes, "It's time to stop becoming what you think and start thinking about what you want to become." And it just ties into, what do you want your result to be? And when we think of the law of attraction and manifestation, a lot of our creation and in our immediate life is just a result of what we keep thinking about. And we know this to be true. I mean, we know that it's just self-evident. Is what comes about is what we're constantly thinking about. And if we're not in control of that, if we're not getting into the driver's seat, we're going to end up where we're headed. Like, if you're not in control of where your feet are going, you're going to end up where you're headed. And I think it's important that, like you said, you need to get into essentially the driver's seat of your health. You need to get into the driver's seat of your nutrition. And if you don't, society is going to lead you. They're going to take you where they want you to go. And if you walk into your local grocery store, your local supermarket, you will see where it's headed. You will see without a shadow of a doubt everywhere you go where that road leads. And it is devastating. Like, it's rough. And if you don't want that route, if you have a picture in your mind that you've designed, you'll get there. And that's the thing, is you need to start thinking about what you want to become instead of becoming what you think. Instead of just carelessly becoming whatever you think, start designing it. Start specifically designing it. Make that design. What does it look like? How do you walk? How do you treat yourself? How do you act? What do you eat? What do you want to be the output? If you can figure out the output, which is the biggest part, the input will come. If I want this output, if I want this to happen, what do I need to put in? If I want to be able to run 10 miles, what do I need to put in? If I want great sleep, what do I need to put in? Because once you have the thing, once you have the design of the thing that you want, what goes into it, it's already there. All of the information on how to get 99% of what you want is already there, and it's available for free. It's all for free. It's literally just posted for free. And unfortunately, a lot of like what we have input or what we consume is just what's put in front of us. Like, you think about the things that you're put in front of you as a kid. And a lot of the nutrition that your parents gave you, yes, we're incredibly grateful for it. But if you look at a lot of it, you're like, what was available was not really the best. And it's just because it's what they knew. That's all they knew. You look at our parents, it's not their fault. They just didn't know. They had no clue. So they made the top ramen available. They made the Pop Tarts available. They made the fruit roll ups available. They made the easy things available. And if you look at those easy, quick dopamine slapping buttons, they have nothing in them for you. And there's no benefit except immediate pass out, no energy, maybe a quick 10 minutes of energy, and then loss of serotonin. Like, it's just, they didn't know. They weren't in the driver's seat. And a lot of us will just take what our parents teach us at face value and we'll be like, this is just prophetic truth and this is the truth for my life. And it creates an absolute crap output. The creation that comes from us is not what we actually want. And it's just the programming that we received as a kid. This is the input, that's the output. And we need to self-analyze that input, because a lot of what we're consuming isn't going to give us our desired output. We don't, until we actually look at those things like, hey, what is it that I'm putting in? And am I getting the desired output? If I'm not getting the desired output, I need to self-analyze and strategically replace and remove things that are coming in. Because unfortunately, society's not going to do that for you. Nobody's going to do that for you. There's not a single person that's going to get you up in the morning and be like, hey, you need to make sure you take your calcium. You need to take your vitamin D. You need to take these things. You need to make sure you're consuming this much protein a day. You have to go and find those things. Like, your dad, your mom didn't teach you about creatine or protein intake. My dad and my mom didn't teach me about protein or creatine intake. These are things we had to go out and learn ourselves. And unfortunately, society doesn't care to teach you those things. They're not going to put those things in front of you. And it just comes down to getting into the driver's seat, into choosing to design your life the way you want it to be. Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to look good? Do you want to feel good? If those are the outputs that you want, what's going to be the input? Is it going to be good food, or is it going to be bad food? And generally, we kind of have an idea of what's bad and what's good. A lot of those things are pretty obvious. Like, you slap the word soda in front of anybody, there's not a single person that's going to say, oh yeah, soda's good for you. Not a single person. I don't know anybody that's like, oh yeah, soda's good for you. And they're very obvious things. But we keep making that our input. Like, oh, it's bad for me, but I'm going to make it my input. Oh, the output is going to be bad. It's going to be what we know to be bad, what we don't want. It's going to be an output that we don't want. Oh, I don't want to be tired all the time. Well, what's your input? Well, it's soda. What's the word that slaps right up against soda? Is it good or is it bad? Well, it's bad. Well, there's your answer. What do you got to remove? The soda.
I think one attitude that's becoming extremely prevalent in society nowadays is acceptance. I think everyone, I mean, most people are just accepting how it is. And it's really sad for me to see because, you get someone who's not taking care of their health, not taking care of their fitness, uh, and not really doing. There's so many things that they're not taking care of, and you just look at it and they're fine with it. They just accept it, and it's extremely sad because, um, I mean, if they recognize it, at least they recognize it. But some people they'll give all these excuses, but they just accept it, And you say everyone knows, everyone knows soda's bad for you. And you ask them like, is soda bad for you? And they're just like, yeah. And then, well, then why do you drink it? I like it. I don't care. And you ask them and I've heard even people say like, it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna die. I've had friends who were overweight, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna live a less of a life than you. I'm fine with it. And it's just extremely sad to me. It's just because acceptance is becoming too great, and that's one of the things I love about doing something that you is difficult, is doing something that is challenging, doing something that initially you don't want to do, is the beauty of the control. It's the beauty of doing something that is difficult that a lot of people aren't doing. Um, you know, Waking up early, for an example. When you wake up early and you just tackle that, the amount of dopamine you could get just from doing something that was challenging that you initially didn't want to do, tackling your nutrition, going to the gym, all these things, they're going to release this dopamine, and then your body's going to reward you for that. And you're like, wow, I'm actually tackling something. I'm actually taking control of something. I think it's just important to avoid the acceptance. Look at your life as like, am I just in the passenger seat? Am I just in this acceptance that it is what it is? That, because you look at how much control you actually have over your life, you have so much control, and a lot of people don't think they have that control, but you do. You have that control. You could take care of your health. You could take care of your fitness. They're like, oh, I'm tired and I'm always going to be tired. No, you could take these little things. You could take these little actions. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Like, just take control of your life. Don't fall into the acceptance trap.
I think it's important to understand stacking your wins. You said something that caught my attention was waking up at 5 in the morning or waking up early. One of the hardest things I've ever struggled with, because and I've always attributed it to being right brain leaning, is waking up early. I lived in a state of absolute chaos for years and years and years because I had no structure. And a lot of that structure was refusing to wake up on time, which is refusing to wake up early. And one of the biggest victories that I was able to get in my life was waking up early. It was difficult. It was incredibly difficult. But it's the difference in acceptance versus beating the sun up. And I think literally when I woke up this morning, I had to wake up at it was a little before 4 a.m. And I woke up before the sun. And when the sun started to peak above the mountains, I literally went outside and I started punching the air. I'm like, yeah, like I beat you. I won. Like I've already won. And it was a big victory on the day. It's just to beat the sun up, beat it, win. And taking these little wins and stacking them in our favor. I think that's incredibly important when it comes to your nutrition and your health. You start taking multivitamin, that's a big win. If you've never taken multivitamins, that's a huge win. Just a single day. Just one day of taking multivitamins. That's a win. Stack that in your favor. What's the next win you want? That took less than 2 minutes. Like taking a multivitamin, little win. Waking up on time, little win. But those two things stack up for each other, and they're bets on who you want to be instead of bets against who you're trying to be. And I think that's a big thing is a lot of times we do these little things in the day that we don't realize that they're betting against ourselves. Like when I wouldn't wake up on time, I knew that was me betting against myself. And I know that when I do wake up at the time that I want to wake up early, that's a bet for myself. That's me betting on myself. That's me saying, yeah, I'm gonna win today. I'm gonna win. And we stack these wins. It's important to stack these wins because they're irrefutable proof to us, to our subconscious, that we are going to get the outcome that we want. And it's just stacking little ones on each other. Reading a single page of a book, that's stacking a huge win. Like, you don't have to read a whole book. Just get 1% of it in. Wake up on time. That's a 1% win. I mean, that, honestly, I feel like waking up on time is more than a 1% win. Like, you wake up early, it feels great. It feels really good, especially somebody who's right brain leaning, who hasn't been waking up early for years and years, who's justified staying up till 2 in the morning and waking up at like 10 in the afternoon. When you get to wake up early, that's a huge win. You're like, you know what? I'm up before everybody else. Like, I beat the sun up. That's huge. That's a massive win. Taking your multivitamin, there. Your day is fixed. A huge percent of your day is fixed. Like, you're tackling your health before the majority of other people are. You read that page. Majority of people in your day that you meet are not going to read a page. They're going to scroll through Facebook a couple of miles down the list. They may scroll through TikTok a couple of miles. But you read that page, you've won. You're stacking these little wins. And I think it's important. Something that I've done, especially in my life, is just learning how to stack my wins for me. Because it does give you a lot of control. It does give you that driver's seat feeling. When you wake up early and you wake up before the sun gets up, you're like, I'm in the driver's seat, motherfucker. Like, I'm winning. You take your vitamins, you're like, I'm winning. I'm in the driver's seat. You say no to soda one time, you're in the driver's seat. You're winning. And I think that's something that's helped me tremendously is just learning how to stack my wins every day. Because I count them as percentages now. I literally count percentages. I've been doing it for over 200 days because I've had no structure previously. The previous years, I had absolutely no structure in my life. And one of the most empowering things that I've been able to do for myself is to count my wins. And I know some people don't really give a shit about morning routines. Some people are like, there's no importance to morning routines. But when you count each one of those things, let's say self-love. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. Say you just want to improve your self-love by 5% every day. Say you're like, I just want to treat myself better. You wake up on time. That's 1%. You brush your teeth. That's 2%. You take your multivitamin. That's 3%. You read a page of a book. You're now at 4%. You wake up and you say, I'm grateful for my hands, or I'm grateful for my eyesight. You just thank yourself for anything you're able to do. Just one thing. I'm grateful for the ability to speak. You're now at 5%. You've improved your ability to love yourself by 5%, and you're done. That's all you've got to do. That's a 5% increase on your life in general. That's massive. To be able to take that as the driver's seat of your day, like, I'm 5% improved, like a 5% better today because I read a page, I took my multivitamin, I woke up on time, I thanked myself, I brushed my teeth. Like, stacking these wins, it's going to change your life dramatically. You don't have to make monumental changes. You don't have to be 100% consistent. Like, I miss days all the time when it comes to my vitamins. Like, I've just confessed at the beginning that, like, I was not that consistent this week. And that's okay. It's just important to keep trying. You don't have to succeed. You just have to try. And that's one of the most important lessons I've ever learned is you don't have to succeed. Just try. Try again and try again and try again. One of the best things you learn about the gym is you don't go to the gym to succeed. You go to fail. Every day, your goal is to fail. It's not to succeed when you show up to the gym. Your goal is to fail. And if you don't fail, it means you didn't make it. It means you didn't get a good enough workout. We know this. You train long enough, you understand that when I show up to the gym, my goal today is to fail. I want to get to the point where I can't go anymore. So your goal shouldn't always be to succeed, be the best. It's just to try and try until you fail and keep failing. Because that's it. The last 13 years of me training, all of it is I show up, Today, I want to fail. Today, I want to go until I can't go anymore. I want to fail today. And I think that's important. So don't be worried about hitting that 100% success. Just 1%, 2%, taking your multivitamin, waking up early. If you don't wake up early tomorrow, this is what it is. Try again the next day. And the point is just to try. And I think that acceptance is one thing that we've settled into complacency, and the way to move out of complacency in the state that we are in is just start stacking little wins. Just chase that 1%. Just chase that one multivitamin one day. Brushing your teeth one more time. Read that page, just one more page, because you're gonna fail. And no matter what you're doing, you're gonna fail a lot. Like, first time you try the guitar, your fingers are gonna fucking hurt. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna fail. That's the point. The only goal you should have is to try until you keep failing. That should be your goal every day. I want to try until I fail.
Well, I like how you said. I like how you were punching the air this morning,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's a cool concept in that is, you beat the sun. And it's not necessarily that you beat the sun, it's that you beat yourself, right? And I think it's important to not compare yourself to anyone. I mean, because I could compare myself to other people, and what people, because it depends on your goals. I mean, I could look at people that are not doing my goals, and I could look at people that are doing my goals better than me, and I'm comparing myself. And either way is not a healthy way. Your only true competitor is yourself, and so, and I think that's a cool thing to look at is like when you actually are able to beat yourself, to get out of your comfort zone. Everyone has their own personal challenges and trials, and so if you look at where you want to be and what you struggle with, and tackle those things, and you're tackling a part of yourself. I had a teacher once that said we each have two wolves inside of us. One's a good wolf and one's a bad wolf, right? One encompasses everything we want to be, and one encompasses everything that we don't want to be. And one of them is always in control. And it depends on who you feed, right? And so if you feed the good wolf, you're going to have the good attributes, and that's going to be in control of your life, and you're going to have the good outcomes. But if you feed the bad wolf, then you're obviously going to go down, and you're going to not be beating yourself, right? You're going to be going downhill away from where you want to be. And so it's crucial to not compare yourself to others, but rather challenge yourself. In the world of anything self-improvement, it's important not to compare yourself. It's important to be humble. A lot of people will look at people trying to accomplish things in their lives, and they could be prideful. But people could look at this podcast and be like, wow, those two think they're better than everyone. But really, we're just challenging ourselves. And that's what anyone else should do, is just challenge yourself, try to be better, feed the good wolf, and, like you were saying, just stack those wins. And that's what truly the wins in your life are going to be, is somewhere where you beat yourself. You're able to challenge yourself and overcome something that you had a struggle with, or that you wanted to improve in. And so I think that's just a really cool idea. A really beautiful idea, honestly, is just beating yourself. How you're able to accomplish something and be proud. It's like, I just beat myself, punch the air, punch yourself in the mirror, I just beat you. I won this battle. And it's just those little wins, and that's going to bring you so much happiness in life and bring you to where you want to be, is just challenging yourself and overcoming obstacles.
I think it's important just to aim for 1% better. Not aim for 10, not aim for 15, just 1%. Like, what did you not do yesterday that you could try today? Like, you don't have to take a huge bite out of it. This is the point of the ladder, is you can only grab it one rung at a time. You can't jump up 5 steps on the ladder. You have to grab it one rung at a time. So, what's the next one? What's the 1% that you want to just do right now? Is it reading a page? Just 1%. You're just looking for 1%. You're not looking for 10%. You're not looking for 15%. What's 1%? Is it saying no to the soda just one time today? You know what? No, one time. Or is it saying no to the drink one time? Is it saying no to the cigarette one time? Is it saying yes to time with family one more time? Is it saying yes to the phone call that you don't really want to take from one of your siblings or your father or whatever one more time? Just 1%. You just got to do 1%. Is it you got a pile of clothes over there and probably should fold some of it? Fold some of it. Just aim for 1%. You'll feel better. That dopamine will hit you. You'll be like, man, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about myself. And that's it. That's the whole goal of all of this is just to help people feel better about themselves. And that lasting serotonin that we all want to feel, not the dopamine, not that quick one that hits us and it's gone. That like lasting feeling, the one that we know is joy. That comes from just 1%. Just 1% improvement. You don't have to chase the 10%. Don't have to chase the 15%. Because trust me, like those days will come where you've been stacking those 1% and you hit that 10%. You're like, cool, sweet. And you realize that's just the dopamine you're feeling. You're like, oh, that's not really what I'm chasing. I'm still chasing those 1%. Those are the ones that give me that lasting feeling. That one thing that I didn't do yesterday. Maybe it's one more page. Maybe it's a little more time with a friend. Maybe it's making your bed in the morning. Just pick that 1% today and do it. Just do 1%. That's it. And the next day, pick another percentage and tackle that because those will add up. It's like we talked about in an earlier podcast. It's not cleaning your entire house in one go. It's cleaning your house for 2 minutes. Cleaning for 2 minutes. Improving your surroundings for 2 minutes. You'll feel great. It'll give you a sense of dopamine, but it'll also give you a sense of that rush of serotonin, that joy that I'm treating myself better than I did yesterday. Whether that's a multivitamin, whether that's brushing your teeth once more, whether that's reading a page, just 1%, that's all you need. And it's a bet on yourself. It's you punching the sun, it's you punching yourself in the mirror. Bro, I beat you. Like that's it. You just got to beat yesterday you by 1%. If you can do 1%, that's enough. That means you're doing good. So I think we're definitely right on there. I was going to talk about bring up our goals. How have you been doing on your goals?
I gotta think about more of my goals. Oh yeah,
Fitness wise.
fitness wise, I was gonna tackle potassium and fenugreek,
Mm,
which I did.
you
So
did.
I,
Yeah.
I, I got those. I'm taking those, and I feel great. So those have been good.
Mm,
My intellectual goal was I was trying to finish a chapter of a book, writing it. And I don't know, it's subjective of what the chapter is, but I did do a lot of it, and so I would say I made a lot of progress. And I mean, I think just like you were saying, even if I didn't reach that full chapter, I still tackled it. If you're trying, you're winning.
mhm.
No matter how small the increments are. But I made a good chunk out of that. So uh, let's see. Do I want to set new ones? Um, let's see. I'll hit push-ups as a goal this week. I've been I could pretty much get over 100 now in a set. Uh,
You're a monster. You're a monster, bro. That's disgusting.
no, it's not good enough. But I really want to tackle form, because when you get on really high reps, it's hard to really have good form. So I'll make a goal this week of 100 perfect push-ups for my
Perfect.
physical goal. So I'm gonna
Okay.
really try to tackle the form and really make them really good push-ups because yeah, when you bring up the reps, it's the form tries to go to crap. So
Hmm.
I'll really focus on that. Uh, Intellectual, I'm gonna continue tackling this goal I've been of writing. I'm gonna really try to. I mean, there's just so much things that, and it's not an excuse. There's so much things that come up in the week. Um,
Well, you're
but
tackling something pretty big behind the scenes when it comes to intellectual goals.
yeah,
And I think that deserves some credit, which is really, really impressive, if you want to talk about that at all.
well, yeah, I decided to get a certified personal trainer certification through the NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, and I just, I know a lot about nutrition and fitness, and so I just wanted to make it pretty much official with getting
Yeah.
this certification. Uh, but I decided I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. I got a lot of goals. I got a lot of things I want to accomplish, and
Yeah.
so I had 4 days off this week, and I decided I'm going to tackle this in 4 days. I'm going to get this certification in 4 days. Um, so I've been studying. So that's pretty much why I've been having a hard time getting my writing goal is because I've been doing this for pretty much any free time I've had. I've been studying uh, for this deal. So um, today's my last day off. So wish me luck. I'm going to take my test later today. If I don't pass, I don't pass. I get a few attempts, but I've been
Yeah.
studying pretty hard. I'm pretty confident in it.
For those of you that don't know, the NASM test is incredibly, the entire course, the entire self-study course is not something that anybody has really accomplished in this short of amount of time. And even if you don't pass it your first time, which a lot of people don't, and if you do, that's impressive. Um, I did pass it my first time only because I studied ruthlessly for 4 weeks straight, like nonstop every single day. And you have blasted through a violent amount of sections in 3 days. In fact, I'm disgusted at how fast you've moved through this entire thing. And I'm very impressed. I'm really, really impressed because you brought up a lot of things over the last couple of days that you were like, what about this? What about this? Like, this is frustrating. Why do this? You've been dissecting this course ruthlessly. So anybody who has taken it knows immediately that you almost taking the test in 4 days. Like, it's insane. Like, it's pretty crazy.
The high
So
testosterone.
it's that fenugreek, dude. I'm just like,
I'm
bro,
motivated.
that's
Now
fast.
I got things to get done. I don't want to
Yeah.
like. I want all the information I could get from this.
Mhm.
I want the certification, but I don't want to spend. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I want to. I have so many other things I want to tackle. So I want to get
Mhm.
this, get it done, get the information, get the certification, move on.
Yeah. So that's incredibly impressive. Beautifully done. I mean, the fact that the speed at which you've moved through it has honestly blown my mind. Like, the speed at which you blasted through these chapters and the entire like course is it's made me like roller coasters. Like, that's nuts, dude. So that is really impressive. Um,
Thanks.
and I do believe that that deserves some credit to be able to move through it so quickly. So yeah, that is something that you are working on behind the scenes that is huge. NASM to even take on that course is massive. Like, it's not an easy course for anybody who's thought about becoming a personal trainer. It's not an easy book to just tackle. It's like 600 or 700 pages. It's quite a bit, but it is worth it. And like I said, milk that book, milk it. There's a lot of information in
It's
there.
good stuff, and yeah,
It's really, really good.
that's going.
So,
It's going on your goals.
all right, all right. Let's talk fitness wise. I'd say I've been pretty good with my diet, 200 grams a day of protein. I've been increasing my carb intake just because I'm trying to bulk up a bit. I did lose quite a bit of weight, but I have not been taking my vitamins. I have been on my protein, but I do feel guilty for my vitamin intake has been lacking pretty heavy this last week. So I want to attack that, my vitamin intake, as well as my training. I've been doing pretty good on my training. Uh, let's see. I've been doing a lot of at-home workouts, so a lot of my stuff is posted up on my whiteboard. I would like to increase my at-home training substantially this week. I've taken a little bit of a relaxing time just because I had some people in town and been spending time with them, but I don't want to relax too much. So I want to get back on top of my vitamins, be consistent with them for 7 days. Uh, I don't want to miss a single day. I hit yesterday and I'd say half my vitamins the day before, so I want to hit full today and just 7 days consistent with my vitamins. Everything, all of the things, all of my supplementation that I take, not just my protein intake and my creatine intake. I want the rest of, my zinc, my multivitamins. I need to take that every day, even though it tastes like shit. I take it every day. Intellectual goal, I set the goal of reading The Secret last week. I started tackling that and I realized that that was not the book that I needed at this point in my life. I've read it so many times that it's like I got into it and I was like, all right. I feel like when your gut kind of calls to a book and you should read that book. And I've been desiring something that will push me a little bit more, that'll make me like move out of my right brain and more into left brain leaning. And so I was reading The Secret, got a bit of the ways through that, and then I started reading The Power of Now, and that's still more spiritual. And I felt like I needed something that kicks me in the ass a little bit more. So the book that I bought this morning and started reading is Turning Pro. I bought that on Playbooks, so I can just read it. So I'm going to tackle reading Turning Pro this week. Anybody who's not read that is by Stephen Pressfield, and it is a really good book. I read his other book, The War of Art, about 6 months ago, and that was insane. That book kicked me in the ass. So I've decided that, especially with the podcast and everything, I want to turn pro. I want to go pro in everything that I'm doing, and so that book was recommended to me by my brother many, 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 many years ago, and I'm like, all right. And I started reading it this morning. I'm 20 pages into it, and I'm like, this is the book that I need right now. So I want to finish that this week. So finish that and hit my vitamins consistently every day. But yeah, those are my goals. As for hitting last week's goal, when it comes to reading The Secret, I only got halfway through it, and I was incredibly uninterested in finishing it. So I failed at that, but I feel like I'm succeeding in other areas, and I'm tackling the book that I really, really need, that I feel that I need right now, which is making me do more work, which is more important than, for me, how I feel right now. Because I feel like my feelings are more pertaining to my nutrients than spirituality. So, other than that, that's where, I guess, those are our goals for the week.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's just one last thought here. When it comes to goals, and failing goals, goals establish a direction that you go in, and it's not always about getting to the goal, but it's about moving, and aiming towards something. And so, I think we're going to see it a lot when we're going to be establishing goals every week. Is we're going to be failing a lot, but we're going to be changing goals a lot. The importance is we're moving, and although I may have not got to that goal, I probably got closer to that goal. Or I established a different goal that's like you, where it's more of the direction I want to be going in. So I just wanted to say that it's important about goals. It's not always getting there, but it's about moving and going in a direction, rather than just staying in a direction. So
Yeah. It's better to move forward than stay stagnant.
Yep.
Because we all know where staying stagnant leads us.
Yeah.
That was pretty self-explanatory. Well, I
Okay.
think this is a good one. Um, this will be posted this next week. Really excited to see it, and honestly, I think this has been a really good one. So I will see you next time, man.
Catch you next week.